Basically, what I want to do is speak really briefly about the actual audit process itself, too. We have a lot of experts here on the money side of things, too. I mean, between federal tax deductions, incentives from NYSERDA and PSE&G. But I really just want to talk to you about the auditing, too. Okay, how do you start an audit? How do you start one of these things? What is the exact process that you go through also? What are you going to get from this energy audit? And finally, what are some of the next steps, too? All right, so I just want to kind of reveal a little bit, not to reveal too much about the magicians, behind the curtain type of thing too, but really help just to give you a good little explanation there of what we do with this also. The place that you want to start with any type of energy program is with the application itself too. You want to talk to either PSE&G, to NYSERDA, to Charlie here with the federal tax deductions, and understand what type of applications you need to put aside, because there's some very, very good money available for these programs also. They're going to speak a lot more in detail about exactly what that process is, but you need to be able to start with the applications themselves. The next step that you want to do is you want to gather all of your energy bills too. You have electric bills, you have gas bills, fuel oil, you're in New York City, you have some steam too, and like some firms and companies also, you probably have one person looking at the electric bills, another one at the gas. They're all over the place too. But you want to be able to put those together so that the professionals can put together a great overview of exactly how much you're spending too. That's a very, very important step too, just to gather all of your bills. The next thing that you want to do in terms of the process, that's how you start it. You start it by the application and putting together all your bills. The process begins by benchmarking your particular building. And probably nobody even understands what I mean by benchmarking. Benchmarking is when we take those bills, electric, natural gas, and fuel oil, enter them into the portfolio manager website and figure out what your average consumption is and how it compares to other buildings. And you get a ranking from 1 to 100. Now, I don't want to go back to school. I'm sure nobody else here wants to go back to school either. But it gives you a ranking from 1 to 100 on exactly how your building is performing. If your building happens to score a 90 or an 88, you're doing fairly well. If you score only like a 10 or so, that's a very poor performing building, and that indicates that there's only 10% of the buildings performing worse than you, but also 90% performing better than you. So you want to be able to benchmark your building is the next step in the process. Then you want to have a trained professional actually walk through your building and actually identify a couple of different measures. And a lot of people can identify lighting measures, heating measures, cooling type of measures too. But there's a lot of other things that I recommend where you perform like a whole building approach, where you want to look at your envelope. Are there things happening with your windows or your doors where you might be losing electricity? You want to look at your voltage also. You want to look at your operations. Are there things you can do with your operations in order to really improve also? And just as an example too, I happen to have the opportunity to work with Bloomingdale's in New York City. They had an audit performed previously that really just concentrated on lighting and heating itself, and that was everything. They saved about $200,000 a year at that previous audit. We took a look at the building and did a whole building approach where we really focused in on their steam and their building envelope, more importantly, and different other type of components too. We didn't just find $50,000 or $100,000 in additional money, but we found an additional $250,000 for a total of $450,000. So you don't just want to look at lighting and like heating. You want to do a whole entire building approach too. Research the measures that are available to you also. And we have some copies at the back of the room. What we put together for you is called a measure table, where we spell out exactly what type of things are going to overall lower your energy profile. We list the things right here. This is a very brief table where there's only about 8 of them, but there's examples in the back of the room there for you. We might find 20 or 30 things where we spell out exactly how much it is to install them, what the construction costs are, exactly what the incentives are you're going to hear about also, how much you're going to save on an annual basis. So this is a very important blueprint for you. You can use this for capital planning. It spells out exactly what type of measures are available to you and exactly how you can move forward and actually save a lot of energy too. And what's important too is you want to have a thorough job done. We looked at a hot hog warehouse about 2 years ago who were receiving about $15,000 in incentives for a lighting project, and they're going to save, I think, roughly about $50,000 a year. But the thing about the warehouse, though, they were just changing bulbs, one bulb to another bulb. They didn't look at occupancy sensors to turn some of the rows off when they were not in use whatsoever also. So by adding occupancy sensors, doing a whole building approach with the incentive, we were able to double their incentive and save them another $20,000 a year. So I really want to stress the importance of a whole building approach here too. So what you get is, you get the ECM table, you get a full report also, and then the next steps. The next steps involve selecting which measures you want to use, which ones you want to move forward with, fill out the applications, get those in, and capitalize on the incentives that are available to you, and also full project financing, which Sean was talking about before too. There's a lot of money available right now for you to finance these programs. A lot of times you might receive 20, 25% through PSE&G, through Con Ed. There's money available to help to provide full funding for you that is paid back through the savings also. Then you just design the improvements, you construct them also, and then you start saving them each year. And one thing I just want to point out really quickly in conclusion is that I had the opportunity to work with the Cleaner Greener Committee plan here also just last year. In New York City, what they're doing is they're requiring large buildings over 50,000 square feet to be benchmarked and to be audited and to undergo retro commissioning. And there are recommendations in this report there in Long Island that we might start to do some of the same auditing and benchmarking for buildings 25,000 square feet and above too. So you may start to hear a little bit more about the terms benchmarking and auditing in the near future also. Thank you.